Welcome to Best Movies, the biggest YouTube channel dedicated to zombies, post-apocalypse, survival, and disaster. Here you'll find not only rankings of movies and series, but also exclusive content and audiobooks that drop you straight into the heart of the apocalypse. The years 2025 to 2026 bring a wave of premieres where fast zombies, collapsing worlds, and desperate survival push horror and tension to new limits. And at the very end, you'll see something unusual, a 2025 film that isn't about zombies or the apocalypse, but it's become so popular and highly rated that it just had to be included. 28 years later, The Bone Temple. 3 decades after the first epidemic, the world is even more devastated than ever. Civilization is on the decline, and what's left of humanity is descending into chaos and fanaticism. At the center of the story is Spike, a 12-year-old boy who leaves a relatively safe island and finds himself in the middle of a sect called Jimmy's, led by a charismatic but ruthless leader. Their religion is born out of pain and death, and the symbol of the new faith becomes the terrifying Temple of Bones, a place where the past mixes with madness. Dr. Ian Kelson, a man torn between science and obsession, and Samson, a being on the border between human and infected, the first alpha who changes everything that has been known about the virus so far, return to the game. In this part, the infection is no longer the only threat. It is humans, their cults and warped visions of the future that become the real nightmare. The film poses the question: are the greatest monsters born by the virus or by humans who have lost the remnants of humanity? Forgive us all, New Zealand after the Holocaust. The world has been torn apart by a virus that transforms people into fast, bloodthirsty monsters called howlers. Rory, a woman grieving the loss of her daughter, lives alone on a farm with her father. Her life changes when she meets an injured stranger named Noah. He carries something unusual, a serum that may be the only chance to reverse the nightmare. However, he is tracked by government troops, ready to kill to seize the drug. In a brutal clash, Rory's father is killed, Noah is severely wounded, and Soldier Logan falls victim to the Howlers themselves. Rory must make a decision: save her own life, or risk everything to deliver the cure and give humanity at least a shadow of hope. This is a story full of pain, desperation, and questions about the price of redemption, where fighting monsters proves as difficult as fighting one's own conscience. Cold Storage. Cold Storage is a horror film that turns an ordinary warehouse into a gateway to hell. There is a former military base underground where an extremely dangerous pathogen is hidden, a parasitic fungus capable of infecting an organism in the blink of an eye, taking control of its brain and turning a person into a grotesque, dangerous beast. When safeguards fail, the real nightmare begins. Bodies break down, the plague spreads rapidly, and the world stands on the precipice. In the midst of the chaos are a pair of young heroes who must fight for life in a place where every corner hides a deadly trap. Their only hope becomes Robert Quinn, a former bioterrorism expert played by Liam Neeson, a tough and ruthless man who knows that the only way to survive is to face the nightmare face to face. Cold Storage combines horror, brutal action, and black humor in a story that shows that even the end of the world can be told with frenetic energy and style. The Long Walk. In the future, young people are forced to participate in a march that has no end. The rules are brutally simple. Everyone must walk without stopping at an even pace. Anyone who slows down or tries to stand is immediately killed. This is not a sports challenge, but a public spectacle in which suffering becomes entertainment. With each kilometer, participants lose strength, and their bodies rebel against continuing on the road. Brief friendships and conversations emerge, but everyone knows that only one person can survive. The march becomes a psychological torture, where pain and fear are as threatening as physical exhaustion. This is a story about the limits of endurance and a world that turns life into a deadly game, where every step brings you closer to victory or inevitable death. A House of Dynamite. A missile appears on the horizon, turning the night sky into a field of horror. No one knows where it was launched from or what its target is. Panic breaks out in the White House and military staffs. Any decision could mean the lives of millions or the beginning of a nuclear war. A dramatic race against time begins, with top commanders and politicians trying to discover the truth before it's too late. Suspicions fall on various countries, and each hypothesis breeds new chaos and the threat of escalation. The camera takes us through claustrophobic meeting rooms full of tense stares and endless debates, where the line between reason and desperation blurs with each passing minute. A House of Dynamite is a thriller about a world balancing on the brink of self-destruction, where one wrong word or late order can bring the end of everything we know. Vala, the intro. Something begins on a tropical island that will change the lives of its inhabitants forever. A zombie epidemic. Vala, the intro, is a short film that acts as an introduction to the full-length production. At the center of events is Professor Ambili, an eccentric visionary who introduces the viewer to a world where science, absurdity, and horror are intertwined. The first symptoms of catastrophe appear on the screen: fear in people's eyes, growing chaos, and the sight of the undead, who become a harbinger of the coming apocalypse. The whole thing has a surreal tone, in which humor mixes with horror, and the camera leads us through claustrophobic shots that evoke anxiety and fascination at the same time. This is just the beginning of a larger story, a teaser for a feature-length film that will show the full scale of a world engulfed in zombie mayhem. Afterburn. 10 years ago, a powerful solar storm burned all technology and set the world back to an age of chaos. Cities have become ruins, and people are fighting for every scrap of survival. In this world, Jake, a former soldier and ruthless treasure hunter, roams the ruins of civilization, recovering what's left of the old culture for the powerful. His latest mission is a near-impossible task: to find the legendary Mona Lisa, a masterpiece that is worth more than gold in the new reality. Jake does not act alone, however. He is accompanied by Drea, a tough warrior fighting for freedom and her place in a brutal world. Standing in their way is a ruthless warlord, ready to destroy everything to gain image and power. Afterburn is a cinema full of action, brutal clashes, and spectacular scenes, but also a question about what is really worth saving when an old civilization lies in the dust, works of art or remnants of humanity. Billionaires Bunker. Underground, far from nuclear annihilation, the world's richest families are building a luxury bunker. This underground kingdom full of bars, spas, sports halls, and apartments was supposed to be an asylum, but becomes a golden cage. When Max, a young man with a dark past, gets inside, conflicts begin to erupt, and secrets from years ago come to light. The wealthy locked inside the four walls struggle not only for survival, but also for power, and every day is filled with tension, betrayal, and paranoia. The series was created by Alexa Pina and Esther Martinez Lobato, creators of the cult La Casa de Papel, the House of Paper, and like that production combines a powerful psychological thriller with a sharp satire on the rich. It's a story that proves that the greatest danger often lies not outside, but among those who are supposed to be allies. Before I reveal the final movie I mentioned earlier, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Here you'll find more rankings, post-apocalyptic content, and audiobooks that throw you straight into the middle of the zombie apocalypse. And now, it's time for the finale. Exit 8. You would never expect that an ordinary underground passage can turn into a trap with no way out. The protagonist of Exit 8 discovers that every step leads him down the same corridor over and over again, and breaking one rule risks returning to the beginning. Echoing footsteps, flashing lights, and illusions create an atmosphere in which the line between reality and nightmare slowly blurs. It's a claustrophobic, suspenseful journey in which the fear comes not from monsters, but from space itself and the human mind. The film plays with the viewer's perception and shows how quickly monotony can turn into madness. Exit 8 is a story of entrapment, obsession, and the struggle for breath in a world where even a simple way out becomes an illusion.